Yeah, we're on.
Wait a minute.
Why, it's Harvey. It's so great to see you, Harvey.
Yeah. What's up?
Can't get a toy rabbit to do what you want
I think you'd do more if you didn't grab him by the throat like you. I want some rabbit stew. Some awesome pfeffer.
to do. Wholesome pfeffer.
Well, what's the name of the show again?
We gotta name the show. Is it on the screen?
Yes.
Kevin missed the show with his rabbits. There's a painting my grandmother did of a cat and a stuffed fish that she didn't even know existed.
Best name of the month.
Except we don't have any credits to make it
You should,
I'm not seeing that. Oh, right.
Next week we'll write some lyrics to that song.
Yeah, Van Allen Attic theme, which is really by John Philip Sousa, entitled Manhattan Beach.
Oh yeah, now we're talking. Manhattan Beach in Los Angeles?
I think it was Manhattan.
In Manhattan.
In the old days, when you go out to Coney Island, there is one in
Yeah.
L.A., but there's nothing there.
Yeah.
It's just a bunch of beach and
Just
and
like
some-
any beach.
and there's a little marina or something.
Yeah.
But out there in New York,
Mhm.
it was part of Coney Island, I
Yes.
think. And so it was really, colliding
Yeah.
music.
Yeah.
And here we go, off on the elevated railroad, off over the Brooklyn Bridge and way down to Coney Island. Here we go. I don't know.
We'll eat 100 hot dogs.
I don't know.
On the 4th
they're-
of July.
They wrote words to everything back then.
Mhm.
It might have actually been some.
Yes.
And they printed them up and people would sing them in their parlor
Yes.
to the player piano. And
Yeah.
them were the days of home entertainment.
Yes. Well, it's good to be here again.
Yes, yes.
Keith,
And Van Allen's Attic. it
Van
is.
Allen's Attic. Yes.
See if we can even out the picture. I can't get used to this thing. It goes
Yeah.
opposite of where you want to go. Okay. Like so much
I know.
in the world, like dealing with the DMV.
DMV. Oh,
God.
you have problems with DMV? So do I.
Everybody does.
I thought it was just you and me. Or I just thought it was me. Now I'm finding out you have problems too.
I went there and I said, "Oh, real nice parking spaces." Oh no, COVID. Got to put your thing on. I
Yeah.
go up to the door with my thing on,
Yeah.
but then, you got to have an appointment. Oh,
An appointment at the DMV? I thought the whole point
DMV.
was first come, first served.
and I said, "Well, can you make me one?" No, you got to go back and get online and do
Mhm.
all that. And then I found out I couldn't do that,
No.
and then I have to buy. I just want my registration.
Yeah.
and I got to do it through the website.
Okay.
But try to get through it and try to get to the point where you can actually use or get
Yeah.
you got to put your name in. It wouldn't accept I had to make a password and all that stuff,
Oh, wow.
and it wouldn't work. And then finally after about 5 or 6 tries, I get to the point where it's like I finally used my credit card and I hit the credit card and it blanked.
Yeah.
And then I had to wait. I took a nap and came back and did it again.
You're so exhausted.
Yeah, and then it wouldn't accept my credit card.
Oh,
So
man.
now I got to go to the bank and
Gotta
say,
go to the
what's the
bank?
matter with my credit card?
Don't wear your mask in the bank.
Well, they don't let you in. You got to go to the drive-through.
Oh, well, they might think that you're the actor.
Yeah.
The actor Sutton.
Actor Sutton.
Yeah, Willie Sutton, the famous bank robber.
I never heard of him.
Oh, okay.
I've heard of Grady Sutton.
Grady Sutton.
You remember Grady Sutton?
I don't know if he has anything to do with.
He was
Grady
in
all the W.C. Fields movies.
Hi, I'm Grady Sutton. And then later on, they used his voice or voice like it for Milton the Monster.
Milton the Monster. Yes.
Hi, I'm Milton the Monster. And he has smoke coming out of
was Grady Sutton doing the voice.
I don't know.
You know what? I got in trouble.
I think I looked on the credits once. I don't think
didn't see it. Let me tell you something.
Somebody doing Grady Sutton.
Remember Underdog had Wally Cox.
Underdog.
Yeah.
Underdog, speed of lightning, roar of thunder, fighting all the rum and plunder. Underdog. Oh,
Underdog.
And then
Wally Cox, a hipster comedian from the 50s and 60s. Yeah.
He was hipster.
Yeah. I mean, you only know him from the Hollywood Squares. But
Where did my coffee go? I'm naked without my coffee.
I just saw your coffee.
I had my coffee.
Coffee?
No. Go ahead. Talk about Wally Cox.
Okay. Wally Cox was he had his own sitcom. He was a guest star on movies.
Mr. Peepers,
Mr. Peepers, all this stuff. And so he, and then you see him on talk shows. He was almost like the Naz, that guy, Lord Buckley. I mean, he was kind of weird. And he was good friends with a lot of people in shows like Marlon Brando and stuff, and Tony Randall.
Yes, Marlon Brando. We got Mr. Peepers here.
So anyway, what happened was we
have a rabbit.
We found the bunny rabbit. Wow.
I can't find my coffee. Wait a minute. I know where it is.
Anyway, what happened was there was a show called Underdog, and it was a good show, and there was this character called Simon Bar Sinister.
Yeah, it looks just like Lionel Barrymore.
Okay. Exactly what I was going to say.
He's a caricature of Lionel Barrymore.
So I looked it up. So
Lionel Barrymore was dead.
That's my point. I looked it up and I said, someone mentioned, don't believe everything you hear on the internet, because somebody mentioned on the internet that Lionel Barrymore was the voice of Simon Bar Sinister.
You don't believe anything you believe on.
And so what happened was I told a bunch of people Lionel Barrymore is the voice. He goes, yeah, it makes sense. I remember him from It's a Wonderful Life. And then I looked it up, like you said, he had died 10 years before the first episode.
He died right after they made It's a Wonderful Life almost. Lionel Barrymore. Now, Cad, we're gonna get Underdog. Yeah, boss. Yeah, I like the voice of Cad. It's like, yeah, boss. What are we gonna do, boss? Yeah.
I remember.
Shut up, Cad. Whoever told you could act? Okay, boss. You're right, boss.
There was Riff Raff and Simon Bar
Sinister. Riff Raff, the guy with a wolf's head.
I tell you something.
Who said Moebius invented? Have you ever seen Moebius, the great French? Yeah. He did the thing called the Incal.
Yeah.
A book called the Incal is very famous. I actually animated on a.
Oh, that's right.
No, there was going to be a animated feature and up in Montreal, and they did a demo.
Yes.
And I worked on that. But there was a character with a wolf's head. And he was very wolfy. He had sex with all the women, but he had a big wolf's head. But Riff Raff did it first.
But was weird about by the end of the Underdog TV series when I was a kid, I was kind of rooting for Simon Bar Sinister and Riff Raff to win.
Well, the villains are always more interesting.
And the Batman TV show, I was rooting pretty much by the last year with a Batgirl. I was rooting for the crooks to win. In fact, if you haven't already guessed, the way I dress is basically like a colorblind Batman villain.
Yeah. You're like one of the villain's assistants.
Yeah,
running around.
Yeah, boss. Yeah, boss.
Where did they get these guys? What kind of career path did they make?
I want to be a villain, a mega villain's assistant.
Oh, but you see in the superhero movies and the cartoons and stuff, they seem to just be assistants. But then you realize when you see the gangster movies, these guys that are assistants eventually put a gun right into the top guy, and they take over.
Oh,
yeah,
that's the sequel.
Yeah,
I guess
that Scarface does that.
Boy, Chester Gould.
Yeah.
Those villains he had were really neat and weird. He always had the ugliest, weirdest, macabre, most surreal prune face, and flat top.
They all look like Jay Leno. all those.
It's a funny thing.
A perfect Dick Tracy villain.
It's a funny thing, Jay Leno, with all his face and his cars, he could have been a Batman villain. He
could have been a Dick Tracy villain.
Dick Tracy, yeah. Well, Bob Clampett, one of the best short cartoons ever made, in my opinion. The Great Piggy Bank Robbery. I posted every now and then.
Wasn't that great? Yeah.
Yeah. And he's doing a takeoff on Chester Gould.
That's right.
And he has flat top, and the airplane's taking off on top of his head.
That's the only one I think. They never mention it. They just show the picture of it. But everyone else is an embedded Dick Tracy villain. And that is such a funny. That's one of the all-time great cartoons.
And Rubber Man, I'm going to rub you out, see?
I was kind of rooting.
Pretty incredible. And no,
I kind of.
It's amazing.
Hated that it was all a dream at the end.
Hmm?
I was kind of hated that it was all a dream with you because I would have liked to see more of that.
When you see him go into the dream, well, you got to come out of it, and then the pig kisses him.
Yeah.
Ooh, I love that duck. Oh, I love the opening where Daffy's reading his comic book.
Yeah.
And he's saying, I can't wait to see what happens to Duck Tracy. He pulled a knife on him. Then he hits himself.
Yeah.
That cartoon moves. That's back when cartoons moved and were very cinematic. And he even did a takeoff on Citizen Kane.
Oh, yeah.
But it was with black people.
Oh, I've seen that one.
So white and the seven dwarves.
Yeah.
It's a great cartoon.
And it's you could catch it on YouTube.
And we showed it to, I've seen it out in Hollywood.
But you can't see it.
NAACP doesn't allow it. But black people loved it. I saw it with a bunch of black people. They were hooping and hollering.
Well, I think there are like
a great cartoon.
10 Warner Brothers cartoons they haven't released. Yeah. And they always say, well, next year they'll release them.
It's the NAACP. I like the NAACP, and I know some guys that work for it, and it's a great organization, but they were pretty too liberal with cutting TV shows and taking Amos and Andy off the air. Amos and Andy, I got to know Amos and Andy with a black maid. My mother was working in the neighborhood. My neighbor talked her into hiring Lizzie. It was an older black woman. Basically, she ironed stuff.
Right.
She'd come in the afternoon, and I'd come home from school, and Lizzie and I would watch Amos and Andy. We were hooping and hollering, and that helped me get closer to black people.
Well, I tell you,
I was 6 years old.
I can understand.
She was laughing, and I was laughing. I never had such a wonderful time.
They make a big fuss about. The people out there make a big fuss about, the radio show Amos and blackface,
people in the media,
and they do, and there is a problem with that. However,
it depends on what they do.
Song of the South and the TV show Amos and Andy did have African Americans on the show, and
they were included. They were actually including.
They were talented and funny.
And there are some there's a few cartoons around which go over the top and are offensive just by the way they do it. But most of them were pretty good. Yeah. And there was some Fats Waller cartoon. I'm a big Fats Waller fan.
Oh, no. Fats Waller's the greatest.
Your pedal extremities really are obnoxious. One never knows, do one.
I once met a guy.
But
they did some cartoon. Bob Clampett did though. Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, he was a famous jazzman.
His
name was Jon Hendricks, and I made a movie with him. And we were asking about his jazz career, and he said he got started with Fats Waller.
You can't beat Fats.
And he
died in the 40s.
Yeah, but this guy was born in 1920, so he was working in the late 1930s, early 40s. So he died young.
He was entertaining for the troops, and they kept on going. And it was a cold night on a train, and he said, "Man, Hawkins is blowing out there tonight," meaning Coleman Hawkins, the great sax. And that was one of the last things he said.
Yeah, Hawk was
he caught pneumonia that night on the train.
Oh, Fats Waller?
Fats Waller.
Yeah.
And one of the last things he said was, Hawkins is blowing out there tonight.
Yeah.
We're talking about the storm.
Yeah. Last week we mentioned Ted Lewis. And
is everybody happy?
Everybody
happy. Isn't it amazing you remember that?
No, but let me tell you, I actually spoke to my dad about it. My dad has met Ted Lewis.
I know.
So this is the story. When getting back to Jon Hendricks, my dad, I said, I know this guy. He's a famous jazz guy. He's not an actor. And we made a movie together called Foreign Student. So what happened was we started asking, all these people started asking him about his jazz career, you know, with Benny Goodman, with Glenn Miller, and people like that. And so my dad, you know, said, you remember Ted Lewis? He goes, and Jon Hendricks said, I started my career with Ted Lewis. He goes, what do you mean? He goes, well,
Dad?
no, Jon Hendricks.
Oh.
A young boy, really. He was only like about 10 years old or something. And what happened was he was hired by Ted Lewis now he had this kind of a racist routine, Ted Lewis, where he'd sing a song. His big hit was Me and My Shadow. And a black kid would dance behind him while he was dancing, while singing. Now, this is the funny part. This is the funny part. Dad, Jon Hendricks said, my mom said, until you graduate high school, you're not going to perform with Ted Lewis. And then years later, he goes, but I want to make it big. And what happened was, later on, he asked his mother, why did you stop me from acting with Ted Lewis? Because it kind of lacked a lot of dignity dancing behind him.
It was just because
he said he wanted to do it. Yeah.
It was because he was the second banana, not because
he was 10 years old.
Yeah.
I tell you, if I was 10 years old, and you know, I always wanted to be on the Art Linkletter show.
Oh, yeah. And you would have said the craziest things.
I would have said the damnedest things. I tell you, I would have wiped the floor with those brats that were on there.
Did you know my grandfather, D. Wally Anderson, was a famous Richmond architect, and he did a lot of Monument Avenue and all that. I'm still mad as hell about the monuments, and I hope they come back.
Good luck with that.
Well, I've proposed a whole series of monuments to black people and famous black people and others.
Okay.
I mean, they got 2 or 3 miles more to go.
Yeah.
You do a whole gallery of and even out the whole story of monuments of America. You know, and that'd be the way to do it, and it'd be beautiful. But and get good artists.
Yeah.
But my grandfather, he loved. Of course, that was those days, turn of the century. But he loved black talk. He loved doing. He was kind of a frustrated comedian, and he liked doing accents. He would do English, and this, that, and the other. And he'd do black. He loved talking like that. His wife would say, his mother, his sister-in-law,
the Kingfish.
D. Wally. And she was probably
I'm in a whirl of trouble.
She was probably pretty prejudiced, but he liked talking and doing comedy, and and his son was playing with and they lived next door to the guy that created Amos and Andy.
There you go. Oh, in Richmond, yeah.
Freeman
Gosden, yeah.
Well, he lived next door to my grandfather, and so they were probably some influence going on. And his son, Wally Anderson, was a very good banjo and guitar player. He had a band. Not supposed to talk about it, but my cousin just told me I was interviewing her, and he said he used to appear in blackface.
Yeah.
My uncle.
It was the most popular form of entertainment.
He's a very nice man.
It wasn't until, I guess, the 20s it kind of lost favor.
Well, and a lot of black people appeared in blackface.
You see it
Bert,
in movies.
The famous
Burt Williams.
Burt Williams.
Yeah.
Appeared in blackface.
The Darktown.
He was a good friend of W.C. Fields.
Yeah.
W.C. Fields said he was the saddest man he ever met.
Burt Williams.
But
that song,
he
Nobody.
was a great, What is that song? Nobody. No.
Nobody.
Who loves me? Loves me? Nobody.
Yeah. I have the Jimmy Dean version. a white guy from Texas who lives in Richmond. And he has a lot of sausages singing that song.
Yeah.
All right. And then so there was a movie called The Jolson Story. And what happened was it's important to note that when Jolson made his comeback after World War II, he entertained the troops a lot, and he became very popular with this movie called The Jolson Story.
I walk a million miles for one of your smiles.
What people forget my mammy. What happened was he did not do the blackface then. Even though there were people that were still doing it.
Well, there's movies of a bunch of black people following and cheering him in blackface.
Well, that's an
old early movie.
It's The Singing Kid. I've seen that movie. There's also he was a big deal.
He was the deal back then.
In fact, the movie A Star Is Born, the original version of it, is sort of based on him and Ruby Keeler, where he was this big star, married this younger woman, and then she became a bigger star than him. Yeah, and then it kind of ends there until the 1940s when
the thing
when
about
he made a
Jolson,
comeback.
the worst thing about Jolson was his personal ego.
I know.
He was as big as New Jersey.
He was an egomaniac.
But he was a good guy. But he could, if to live with him was really not that easy, or just have dinner with him. Yeah.
Married a few times, yeah.
But he put everything into his work.
Yeah.
But then along comes Howard Stern in recent years, and Howard Stern did some things on his show. Very talented guy, but he would insult
everybody.
Yeah, some poor woman that wants to be in Playboy, and she takes off her top, and he just criticizes her up and down the country, and I didn't like that. But then somebody talks about Howard Stern. They said, well, at home he's a really nice guy.
Yeah,
he's a great guy. But on the show, he's terrible.
I know.
But I say that's the reverse of the Jolson syndrome, because better that you're kind of an asshole at home, but when you're on stage and affecting thousands of people, millions of people, you give it all. You give a great show and a positive thing. Better that than to do the reverse. Yeah. I think.
You know, when Groucho died, he had none of his family were friends of his, and his wives and everything. And because I'll tell you why. Well, his two brothers are dead by that time.
Oh yeah.
But let me tell you something. He or the two famous brothers. He had his son. His sons were. I mean, they were. He was. We're talking in his 80s.
I think the woman turned.
Aaron Fleming. Yeah, the woman I was living with. But let me tell you something.
Turned him against him. Or something.
What happened was
he was being manipulated by her.
But they said all his life was as funny as he was on television. He was that funny in real life, which was fine if you were watching him. But a lot of people did not like his family did not like being insulted all the time, as if they were contestants on You Bet Your Life or Margaret Dumont or somebody.
I don't know.
You have to hear with people like that.
I really, maybe in his old age, but I've always heard he was pretty nice around the house. He was a real homebody. And at parties, he could start making jokes, but
well, I mean, he took it home with him.
I got one
being funny. He never turned off the comedy.
I never heard that.
Okay, you didn't hear that.
I got a biography.
Well, yeah, it's his point of view. I can write an autobiography and say, "Oh, I'm a great guy. I'm a wonderful guy." Ask somebody.
I know, buddy.
Ask any waiter or ask anybody trying to sell me clothes or something. They'll get a whole different idea what I'm like.
I know, Buddy Hackett was always.
Buddy Hackett.
I thought Groucho had to kind of have his time down in order to come up with material and stuff.
Well, maybe. But anyway, Buddy Hackett, I know Buddy Hackett.
Hey, tell me, how am I supposed to fly the plane, huh? Yeah, you want the wheel?
Mickey Rooney. Who are you, the stewardess?
Oh, I'm the guy. Listen, you hold the wheel while I go and make them old-fashioned. Hey, but what...
That is so good.
Don't mess us up. He said, what can you do to an old-fashioned? What if we crash?
You know that he was offered the part when Shemp died of being the replacement for Curly, Buddy Hackett, but he turned it down, and he made some sort of
could have been funny.
No, he made some sort of stupid excuse, but then years later he said, "I turned it down because nobody could replace Curly or Shemp." And Joe Besser had a hard time doing it.
Not so hard.
And Joe DeRita had a hard time.
And then Joe DeRita.
Yeah. Joe DeRita is the only
non-Jewish. But us kids used to.
Stooge.
Us kids used to go watch that movie. Stop, Look, and Laugh, or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Stooges in Outer Space.
Oh yeah.
Well,
they had a renaissance then. In the early '60s.
My Uncle Al met the Three Stooges.
Yeah.
They came to the Lyric Theater down on Broad Street.
Yeah.
And my Uncle Al, my favorite uncle, he was kind of autistic, and he kind of talked like that. Yep. Nope. Yep. You have to ask him what time it was. Oh, it averages about 3:35 and 58, 59, 60 seconds. But he couldn't talk too well, but you knew he had a mind going on.
Yeah.
Sometimes he'd write some.
They're actually very smart autistic people.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's just
it's just they have a hard time getting it out. Yeah.
Well, I'm dyslexic, and I have a certain problem with that too.
Yeah.
And it's just the way your audio connection is wired from your brain. You're creating all this stuff, but you just can't quite get it out. It's in there. And then sometimes you might have a talent doing, you know, whatever. But, or you draw. And everybody's wired differently.
Yeah.
And we got to have more talk about rights. We need rights for artistic and dyslexic and people like that. And I pray, let's say I pray, that someday...
You prey upon who? What type of predator are you?
This...
Stop it.
Gotta control myself.
The
No,
rabbits? You
I
said
pray.
the rabbits? I love the rabbits.
Someday in the Dr.
George, tell me about the rabbits.
In the Dr. McCoy world, Star Trek world,
Yeah.
Dr. McCoy with all his little stick of metal and
All that.
detect everything. They'll be able to scan your brain, and know how it's constructed. It's just like computers. Every computer is programmed differently.
Yeah.
But people will receive better pay
I hope so.
according to
That's
how their
what
brain is constructed and how much energy their brain expends, rather than the fact that you happen to be good with money and make a killing on Wall Street. I mean, that's a good thing. I just invested a little bit myself. I'm trying to be rich. I haven't made it yet, but I want to make movies. But you should be determined. People should be more fairly paid, and all sorts of things like that. And maybe someday, by scanning people's brains, they'll say, well, this person has a fantastic brain. Look, he stops going, the speech part is not wired the same.
Yeah.
Like when I was 12 years old, you know, I was good at school when I was very young, six years old. Then it got harder and harder. Reading and numbers. But I got pretty good at reading, and I'm very literate, but I had to force myself, and I became what they call a compensated dyslexic. You force yourself, and there's a lot of people like that. You work so hard at getting a skill like reading that you rewire your brain. It usually happens around puberty, because you're trying to be an adult and trying to be a success. And my uncle was big on military history and stuff like that, and trying to keep up with my uncle, who was a very intelligent guy, I read this big biography of Napoleon. Never more boring thing. I kind of got into the military history. I got it 2/3 of the way through it before I gave it up. But I believe that and some other things helped rewire my brain.
Oh, okay.
And I still have to lay.
Teenager, you said?
Yeah.
At this point?
And then I learned from Thomas Jefferson.
Okay.
He invented a desk for his reading. He was the same way. He had to put his feet up, and he developed a desk that puts your feet up, and he could write. And it made him concentrate on reading and writing by putting his feet up. So if you get in bed, people out there that have trouble reading, try just reading in bed. With your head reclined, you get more blood to your head, because your brain is just as good as anybody else's, and this applies to many things.
I was told when I was a kid, standing on your head helped a lot.
Maybe so, but who can keep that out?
Yeah.
But the blood,
kid,
it's just that the neurons, or whatever, the synapses and the neuron and all these things have had to go a roundabout route, like going around your elbow to get to your thumb in your brain. And it takes more blood, more blood pressure, and more just to make it work. And not only that, here's the biggie for you artists out there that have trouble with your credit cards and your math and stuff like that. Did you realize anybody that works on computers knows that it takes a lot more memory to run Photoshop or any visual program? Any program that I can't see this thing with that. Can you get rid of those boxes up there? Okay.
Too many for fans.
To create visual programs like Photoshop and any video or anything like that, it takes upteen more pixels and memory storage and everything to keep all those dots and dashes, the pixels of the
Yeah.
What do you call it?
Pixel.
The screen, the pixels of the screen,
Yeah.
and the images and the
Bytes.
Yeah,
Gigabytes.
it takes much more memory to store all that than it does math or word processing. That's nothing compared to. So when a guy is talented with art or something, or music or something,
Left side.
he's memorizing, he's filling up his brain with a whole lot of
Yeah.
that stuff. Takes a lot more memory.
Yeah.
So don't put down somebody
I won't.
that. Well, I'm not talking to you. We know you're
The
beyond,
greater we.
You're beyond help. We know that. Because he can't do his books or
Yeah.
something. Help the guy, you know.
I'm very tolerant helping people. I'll tell you why. Because there's a lot of things I don't know. Like, I don't know a lot
but
about NASCAR.
But
I
for
don't know
some
any-
reason, a lot of math people, not all math people, but
calculus, I don't know.
some people can be real condescending and say, you don't know math, or you don't desire to live, hardly, or what's the matter with you?
Oh, I had a teacher like that. I had teachers like
there are
that.
good math people, too, that don't have that attitude, but some get into that.
The teachers I had growing up, I'd say probably, it's awful that about
But the
20 or 30 gave the one or two that I liked a bad name.
Well, the whole world is kind of divided into those basic right and left. You call it right and left brain, but it's not really right or left brain, because if you're left-handed, your reasoning side comes from the left side, and if you're see, I'm confused already.
Yeah.
But if you're left-handed, it comes from this side. So it's two halves, but it's one side or the other. But there are the basic two halves.
That's right. That's right. And you could rewire your brain, especially if you get them
When you're young,
you can
that's
do
what
it.
a lot of people do instinctively.
Yeah.
When you're young, you're just struggling. You're a young kid saying, I want to do this. Why can't I do this?
Everything.
And you start trying, and pretty soon you've done something.
Yeah, I know.
By the time you're 35, you may figure out what you did. But knowledge of the brain is changing so much. And,
We don't know. We don't know hardly
brain
anything.
mapping. We must do brain
We're watching
mapping.
a TV show, a very intelligent TV show, where the guy said, the reason why you Earthlings are so slow is you only use 10% of your brains, while we Martians use 100% of our brains. It was my favorite Martian with Ray Walston.
Yeah,
real intelligent show.
I remember that. Somebody saying that when I was a kid, and I took it seriously. And I made up my mind, I'm going to use more of my brain. And I don't know how much I actually ended up using, but I think it helped.
But you know that I think the story goes was that when Einstein died, we did the thing of theory.
Oh, he was big time dyslexic.
And what happened was, but when he died, well, before he died,
he couldn't decide which coat to wear.
Exactly.
So he bought all the same coat.
Yeah.
He almost crashed his yacht.
You know,
he bought a yacht and he almost wrecked it.
You know, his wife caught him cheating on her, and the joke went, goes to show you can be the smartest man in the world, and your wife will still know when you're cheating on her. But anyway,
true words were never spoken through falsities.
So Einstein, before he died, they asked him. This is back in the early 1950s. He died in the late 1950s. What happened was some school asked him, "Can we have your brain after you die, so we could study it and all?" And so he donated his brain after he died. And what happened was they studied it, and it was no different from anyone else's brain. They thought they'd find a second lobe or a different color or something.
It's all how you program.
Yeah.
And Dwight Fry came in that night and tried to steal the game. Oh, Abby Normal. Yeah, that's what happened. But this is true. And something I've discovered from studying animals, as I've done all my life, the size of the brain I don't think it makes that much difference, because look at a chickadee. Have you ever played around with birds, wild birds?
Chickadee.
I'm a little chickadee. Well, some birds.
Yeah.
Chickadee is a very small bird.
Yeah.
It's
like a hummingbird.
Almost.
Yeah.
It's got a head about that big.
Oh.
But they're among the most intelligent birds there. And the other birds, like cardinals, they kind of cheep, cheep, cheep. They're a little bit dumb.
They're bird brains.
Yeah, they're beautiful birds. They're beautiful birds, but they kind of run into things. And if you scare them at night, they go.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just me.
I don't think I've ever seen birds at night. I only see them in the daytime.
Well, they're right here in the bushes.
I mean, they hide.
I scared.
Well, I don't really look.
No, I was taking out the trash last night, and I was scared a cardinal.
Oh wow!
And I talk to my animals. I know if you learn an animal's language, you comfort them. And they,
Chatting with a chimp and
and
chimpanzee.
if you do this to a cardinal, that's a little comforting noise that cardinals make. So he was going, and I went, he stopped. And the female cardinals, a big cardinal, a male cardinal can be pretty macho and pushing his mate around. Get out of my way. Except when she's on the nest, and suddenly he's taking real care of her. He kisses her. He gives her a seed in her mouth. Like, you want to do it, Kevin? You want to be a cardinal? No.
Where they throw up the food.
And crows. Oh, yeah. Crows are holy cow.
The Nile virus.
Yeah, they could be lawyers. They're so intelligent. But they got a brain.
Why can't all crows be like Heckle and Jekyll?
Yeah. Because they're magpies. They're of the crow family. But they got a brain pan about that big. And so who knows if a Tyrannosaurus Rex was smart or not. They always say, oh, he only had a brain the size of a walnut.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that.
Big body.
I was glad you mentioned that.
He didn't need to be smart.
No, actually, they
but he might have been.
We like to make fun of dinosaurs because they have these walnut-sized or pea brains. But the thing is that they lasted on Earth for millions of years. Our time on Earth is pretty much numbered with what goes on with nuclear power and their pandemics and everything.
We're so far from catching up to the dinosaurs.
We'll never catch up with that. And the dinosaurs are not good our big brains and our
not only that,
houses and cars do.
They are basically still here. They turned into birds.
A
lot of them did.
Evolution, yeah. Do you know that another thing about brains? What was I going to say about? This is you mentioned that the weight of brains. First anatomist.
What's the programming and the convolutions? How you program it?
They would weigh the brains of men and women, and they found out men had not a whole lot more, maybe a few ounces heavier on average than women do, and that was used a lot to keep women down.
Water on the brain.
It was a lot to keep women down. That men have bigger brains, so thus they're smarter. So thus the men run the world now.
I'm gonna get in big trouble now. I say women need to be kept down in the kitchen. I mean, some of them do, because men need somebody to take care of us, especially dyslexic men.
Okay.
But there are all kinds of men and all kinds of women in various sexual awarenesses. Mm-hmm. But the basic male and female roles is the female is interior. It's a very broad generalization I'm making, but the male is exterior. Male likes to go out and hunt. The woman,
that's what I love to do,
keeps the nest. And
not a homebody.
You just look around at my house and you find that I cannot keep a house. I can design you a nice house. I can do an interior design, draw you a picture of what it should look like, but I can't keep it that way. I may expend a lot of energy and get it looking beautiful, but I can't keep it that way for more than 5 minutes. But women, I mean, the women.
It takes me a while to hang up a coat or something.
Well, I'm talking about women with the real female attitude. Not there are women who are kind of masculine and a lot of women groove on interior stuff. Oh, I like the doilies. The Martha Stewart syndrome, except she turned into a doily Nazi. But they really groove on it all. And talking to the neighbors, that's your ideal housewife. Now, whether that's
housewife, what's that?
What that's going to continue? Well, it's good. No, I'm a big LGBT supporter and all that.
Great.
But I believe there are the brain, your soul comes into your body in various incarnations, male and female, and you come into your body, and you come in with a polarity, you might say. Before you come into the body, your soul has a certain polarity that is developed over time. And let's say you're very male or you're very female, or you're kind of in between this, that, and the other, and you have all and you enter your body. As
babies?
Yes, your soul enters your body.
It's all planned before you.
Oh, well, according to my new age learning, and I don't know everything, but I've played around with a lot of teachings.
Yeah.
You kind of choose your body and your parents before you were born. And
boy, do I have I'm going to complain when this is over. I have a whole list. I have a whole enemies list.
Well, maybe sometimes people come in by accident
Yeah.
too. There's a whole lot of stuff, and
I think the world is happenstance, and
Well-
very. I think everything like car accidents and
No,
mutations
I
and
think
everything just
I think it's a
is
mix.
very random.
I believe in George Burns. He said, "I don't get in, like in the movie Oh God."
Oh God.
He said, "Why is it? What's his name? It was in the movie with
Jon
him?
Denver.
John Denver." I said, "Why is there no planning? Why does all this stuff happen?" He says, "Oh, I don't get involved with I'm only in it for the big picture."
That's true.
And I believe there's so much design. You talk about intelligent design. There's so much stuff you can consider your fingernail and put it under a microscope. Take this little piece of fingernail, put it
Let
on,
me take a
and
look.
into the dirt. Yeah. But there is an infinite.
Why do you wear nail
there's,
polish?
oh, yeah.
I'm just kidding.
There's an infinite universe in that little hunk of junk,
That's right.
and out there too.
Yes.
And it's amazing design.
All the cells.
It has to be some kind of thought. And the idea of God, I totally believe in God, but what exactly God is, how big, it's huge. You're totally always discovering, and you don't know. He's not just a man sitting on a throne, although the man with a beard, that can be arranged when you die, if that's what you really need to see. When you die and go to the pearly gates or whatever, if you need to see that guy with the beard on the throne, they'll whip it up. They'll whip it up for you. Then later on,
Not your brain playing tricks on you,
no,
like your dreams.
but there's so much more than the brain. We are
Yeah.
more than a brain,
Okay.
and the brain rots.
Mm-hmm.
You
You don't use your brain.
Do you
after
realize that at this very moment your brain is rotting away?
that explains a lot.
Horror movies have a lot of wisdom.
But
But no, I mean, what is beyond the brain? What is beyond consciousness? What is consciousness?
Mm-hmm.
Why am I in this? If you're not really an atheist, but you're kind of, what are you, agnostic?
I tell you how I believe. I believe on this earth, I believe in people, and I try to do it. Anything after I'm gone. I'm
You're an awful nice guy.
I'm very serious about
You're
this.
an affable guy.
And it took me a while to come
Not
to this.
very accurate,
Because I
but
was
he's
constantly told by people who thought they knew it all, who knew absolutely nothing.
Who's psychics?
No, not psychics. I'm talking about like clergy people, school teachers, kids, parents of kids, other kids.
Guys.
People didn't really know anything. And I talk about a brain. I actually had a brain and knew right from wrong and had ethics and everything. And what happened was
I graduated with a degree in English.
Yes, read a lot. And what happened was I figured out, and I'm not putting down other people, but this is how I see it. I'm saying that
Go ahead, put 'em down.
that on Earth we try to do the best we can, live the golden rule, that type of thing. Know your history, know your politics, know your future. However, once you're gone, I don't think at that point, if you go to heaven or whatever happens, you have no say. Your earthly person does not have no say in what happens.
So why be good?
Exactly. Well, I tell you
Why
what.
be good?
I tell you why.
You should go out and raise hell. If it doesn't matter, you could go raise hell and not worry about it.
A lot of
of
religion-
people do.
A lot of religion teaches people you got to be good to go to heaven, and believe it or not, that's a good fear factor to keep people from being good. I don't need that fear factor to be a good guy.
Except it can be overdone.
But if other people do it and they were good people as a result of fear of the afterlife, then that's fine.
But if you believe in reincarnation and karma,
yeah,
you realize that everybody gets to basically do everything with time.
mm-hmm.
You get to be born with a silver spoon in your mouth. You get to be terribly poor and struggle. You get to be a jazz musician. You get to be a bricklayer. You get to be a woman who's struggling with a family. You get to be a great stripper. You get to be Marilyn Monroe,
you
whatever.
Be good looking.
Yeah,
Or not.
Yes, and and my heart goes out to you, without a better word, freaks, people who are deformed. I'm a great admirer of beauty. I'm an artist. Beauty. I worship beauty. I try to draw beautiful,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, I love the grotesque.
Yeah.
I may not want to have sex with it, but I really feel for.
Yeah.
And every now and then around town, you meet somebody, and you just your heart goes out and you realize he's so deformed.
Mm-hmm.
He can't go out in public too much, or he's very
Mhm.
brave, and he has. I remember there was a guy with a deformed head.
Like
Really?
elephant disease or something.
Not elephantiasis, some other stuff, encephalitis, or not. Sometimes water on the brain, but sometimes they're just deformed from
Yeah.
being born a certain way, and they look like something out of a distorted mirror,
Yeah.
and you really feel for that. I remember seeing a guy like that in the store one time and seeing the expression on his face. He wanted to get a magazine, and I could tell what was going on through his head. You know, he just wants to get through this. He knows people are looking at him. He's like that. And then about a month later, there was a little report on Channel 12 on the news about people that are hired and they work with animals and baby animals, or at a veterinarian.
Mm-hmm.
And there was this guy.
Oh, he's the same guy.
The guy, and he looked happy. And he had animals. I'm sorry, this makes me cry, but animals don't see that.
Yeah.
And he had a place there. And that guy was happy
Yeah.
and working with the puppies, you know.
Yeah.
And you got to look at all that stuff. And then a guy like me, I might want to turn around and make a horror movie out of it, too.
Yeah.
And some of the good horror movies like Frankenstein, they teach great lessons.
Oh, yeah.
But you got to take all, and Leonardo da Vinci was like that. He had great beauty, but he liked to do these. He'd go to the madhouse, and he was seeking the secrets of life, and how creation works, and there's great endless mystery, and I'm just pouring out a little piece of what I've thought about it.
Well, I'll tell you, I know
it's affected me through my life.
Well, I'll tell you how I see it, which is right. This guy you mentioned.
Didn't mean to cry, but in tears is great power.
I cry along with you.
Believe me, if you're a creative person, you can go through a lot of tears and make a masterpiece, and suddenly it comes out. You know.
But let me tell you,
emotion power.
That guy probably had more going for him than a lot of people. A lot of people are rich and good looking, and they are miserable people.
He may have.
They have
a very rich cloistered life. He has a cloistered life. He doesn't go out a lot. But he probably has great friends and animals and a rich.
I have to tell girlfriends all the time. Who knows what? Anyone who knows me knows I'm not a tall guy. So I always tell girlfriends that I'm not a rich guy and I'm not a young guy. So I have to say, listen, you can always find a guy that's older than me. I mean, you can always find a guy that's younger than me, a guy that's taller than me, a guy that's richer than me.
I keep looking.
I love you, and thus I want to be your man.
I'm trying to get a replacement for you, Kevin. Where is it? Where are these people?
So people have their, I think people all, you just work with the hand you're dealt. This guy.
Well, you can't do anything else.
We all are good at something, and we're all good. We're all bad at something.
I wrote a poem about one guy down on.
I'm not very good with
Carey Street. One time, he was
making money.
One of those. He looked like one of those incredible horror masks. Kind of like Rondo Hatton, but he had real long face and all that. One hand was very long, but he got off the bus. He had a lunch pail. He went to work every day. At some job.
There you go.
But I mean. It makes you think.
What makes you happy? All that really matters is that you're happy, not that you're...
But children have natural instincts they repel from things like that. And we are attracted, sexual attraction is very powerful. And you're attracted to this kind of face or that kind of face. And that's natural selection. That's nature trying to make the gene pool right. So a guy with a big nose will be attracted to somebody with a short nose. Or opposite. Think about opposite attract.
I just want me in a dress. I don't believe in opposites attract. I've yet to find.
I married a woman that looked like me, and it did not work out.
You in a dress.
She was acted like a truck driver.
Yeah.
She had a hormonal. Yeah. She told me she had a hormonal imbalance, and I should have listened to her.
Yeah. When you're in love, you never listen.
I wasn't in love. I was depressed because I didn't get with another girl who had turned me down.
But I was thinking
and I went with her.
I go with people.
She grabbed me and said, "Let's go," and then it was.
Every single person I meet, there's two things I always try to figure out: what they have better than me, and what I have better than them. But but that doesn't really. I mean, once I get past that, then I say, okay, now we can be friends. You know?
I don't do that. I soak up people like they're like a sponge, like a character. Oh, what a character! Oh, what a character! Ooh, now I'm Kevin. I'm too much of an empath.
Yeah.
I'm too much of an empath. I'm gonna be Kevin. Okay, I'm sick of being Kevin. No, I'm gonna be that guy coming down the street.
You haven't lived. You want to know it's like 24 hours. Every single friggin'
Then
day.
I'm dealing with my cat. My cat who doesn't know where to poop.
Yeah.
He poops.
Yeah.
He does
That's what
good.
humans have over
He changes
animals.
places. He changes places. Now he's pooping in the bathroom sink,
Yeah.
and I'm on the commode, and he's sitting there, touching me on the shoulder.
He's a very nice cat.
He is a very
Yeah.
nice. He's a goofy cat.
What's his name?
I rescued him. Well, I call him Cat or Kitten.
Funny, a creative man like you, I would think of that as like a 4 or 5 name.
It never
long names.
Well, his official name is Ghost,
Okay.
but I've never used it.
Ghost.
He's an albino.
Yeah.
He's white, so I called him Ghost. But you can't. It's no use calling a cat by anything fancy.
Yeah.
Just call him Cat.
They don't come when you call them anyway.
Did you remember that movie? You remember Logan's Run with Peter Ustinov?
Yeah.
He says, "Oh, a cat has its ordinary name, and a cat has its fancy name. But there's another cat. The other name, the cat, will never divulge." It was a rhyme, and I can't remember. How's it come?
All I remember was the first movie I ever saw was
I am the
Richard.
Cat Man.
The villain was Richard Jordan, and I eventually made a movie with him. We made a movie.
I
with
went on a picnic. I went on a picnic with Richard Jordan. That's the craziest thing to think. But
and
the cat will not divulge.
Yeah.
No, but it rhymed. Anyway.
Do you ever have a dog?
Oh God, I've had so many dogs.
Yeah, tell me about your dogs.
Well, one of my favorite dogs is in my book. I should be.
See, I'm like the president. I'm like President Trump. I'm not the pet guy.
I should be.
I'm never at home. I'm not a homebody.
I should be pushing my books, and I always forget to do that. But my children's book, if you can see that, is Creatures in the Water.
Oh, you wrote this book.
I wrote and illustrated it.
I see your picture on the back.
Yeah, there's my picture on the back.
Yeah.
And the picture of the dog.
And the dog is there. Okay.
Yeah, he's based on a dog.
You wrote a book about your dog. That's very nice.
Well,
now your dog is.
Here's the story. Well, he lived to be
forever in a book.
He lives to be 16 years old, and he comes to visit me in the spirit world.
Can we still buy this book, Thomas?
Oh yeah, it's on Amazon. You can see it's fully color illustrated. Yeah. And it's a dog who has a transcendental experience in the wetlands.
How much is your book?
Oh, it's not much. I don't believe in putting high prices.
That's much too much.
$10.
Ah!
Some people charge $25.
It's $10, but it costs like.
Well, I thought
it costs $30 to ship it.
I thought I could get it on shelves in like supermarkets, like Golden Books.
Yeah.
But they won't let you do that.
There's the publishing mafia.
Yeah,
yeah,
right.
I'm sure there is.
But Amazon does a very good job, and I don't put down Amazon too much because they do make it popular.
It's a very good book. It's a good price for it.
And Festus was his name.
What's the name of the book? Creatures in the Water.
In the Water, starring a Festus the Blunderdog adventure. But it's based on Festus, who was an Irish setter golden retriever I had. And I got him in New Orleans. I lived in New Orleans for a year, animating, and had a crazy marriage, but I had a really neat dog. And he was given to me by a cinematographer I worked with at Fox Production Animation down there. And Sonny was his name, and he used to fly airplanes into hurricanes and take movies with 16mm movies.
Yeah, in those days.
Sonny was a cool guy. He's like an old hippie kind of guy.
Yeah.
He really cool guy, and he walked in one day with his puppy, and he said, my dog had puppies, a whole 14 puppies. They all died except for Festus.
Yeah.
He was a miracle puppy.
And that was your dog?
The dog, his dog that had the puppies was something like 12 years old.
Yeah.
So he was a miracle dog. Gave him to me.
Very good.
Survived the marriage. I shipped him back home. Dropped him off to my parents.
Yeah.
When I went as I went on to Canada, And Festus was always looking around water.
Mm-hmm.
And he wanted to get in water, but I had to keep him out of the canals in New Orleans because there were garfish. And the garfish are these gigantic 10-foot fish with these teeth long.
Oh, yeah.
And they were going in
I've
there.
heard of them,
And we'd be by the canal, and the thing would go bloop,
yeah.
bloop, like a sea serpent.
Yeah.
And I had to keep that little puppy out of there. And so I did that, and he developed these ticks. Plus, my ex-wife threw him in the deep end of the pool. That didn't help. But anyway, if you're watching Melody, you did that. I brought him home, and he was out there by the pool and looking at sticks. I would throw sticks in there and go bloop and he'd make these faces. So as I went to Canada, I had to leave my dog behind. I was thinking about him, hoping he'd be all right, praying for him. But of course, he was in my dad's hand. My dad couldn't be in better hands. My mom and dad loved animals. But I started writing this poem as kind of a prayer, or just thinking about my little dog I had to leave behind.
All right.
And it starts out, I'll just read a little bit.
All right.
There are creatures in the water, so you must beware, for you never know quite what's lurking down there. They move neath the surface with luminous eye, ever stalking the innocent passer-by. They splop and they sploop and they squiggle about, yet somehow they never come all the way out. With meandering motion they wriggle and squirm from monstrous fish to insignificant germ. And I'm doing kind of a Boris, kind of like Boris Karloff. Yeah, that was very
good.
The Grinch is one of my favorite cartoons. But anyway, and so I made this story, and I got back and I put it aside, and then I'd work on it again.
So well illustrated. Every page is like a work of art.
I'd like to do more. I was waiting for this to make money, but I hope.
This show, the world's your oyster.
People like it though. People, I hate that expression. The world is your oyster. I really hate that expression.
Yeah, that's why I brought it up.
Yeah, did I tell you?
I said oyster. I didn't say oyster.
My ex-mother-in-law, she turned out to be a good lady. I liked her, but she was my mother-in-law, the grandmother, and they wanted me to make them rich. They had been kind of poor.
Gosh, yeah.
We're going to be rich. And they wanted me to be their ticket to, and she would say she would coach me and say, "The world's your oyster. The world's your oyster," and I hated that because what does that mean? I'm supposed to crack the world open and get a pearl? I'm supposed to. I love the earth. I don't want to crack it open. I want to save it.
Every time I open an oyster, I always think I'm going to get a pearl. Guess how many pearls I've gotten? 0. I always think someone might have grabbed the pearl before I got.
Well, there's mother of pearl, and you could start gluing.
You could start one. Yeah.
You could glue one together. Yeah.
Yes. I have another book here.
Oysters are interesting things.
Tell us about.
I only like to eat them if they're fried.
There's actually a series of books. Tom Swift.
Oh, well, talking about the internet and other technological devices, back in the day, and these were when my dad was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
They had a series of books by Tom Swift, or about Tom Swift, the inventor, the young inventor.
I remember those books.
And this is Tom Swift and his photo telephone. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Ooh, wow, photo telephone. And there's a photograph somewhere in here. Oh, yeah, there he is.
Oh, there's a photo.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the grown-up Tom Swift?
That's
the writer.
That's a photograph of him in this book with his photo telephone.
Oh, I see.
And what it really was, it was kind of like...
so they give you an idea what it looks like, and then you...
It was kind of like a fax machine.
Yeah.
It came over the phone, and it was a still image.
Yeah.
And it was like, what did they used to call it?
Which in those days was a big deal.
What was it, wire? Send it by wire, send a picture by wire. They used to do that with newspapers.
Telegraph?
No, send a picture by wire, and they would scan it.
Yeah, it would all do each line.
Yeah, it was a precursor to television.
Tintype? Teletype?
No. Tintype was the Civil War.
I know, I can't.
But it would come in by lines, and it would take about an hour to get a picture.
Yeah.
But But here they were predicting that. Push it up on the
Oh,
push it further up on the. Okay.
Okay.
And then these are Tom Swift. Ooh, and his wireless message. Ooh.
Yeah.
But they're cool books, and my dad, his generation, really loved. How
old are these books?
Dad was born in 1914.
Yeah.
And when did this thing come out? Gross and Dunlap Publishers, New York, 1922.
Oh, wow.
No, what
Almost
does that?
100 years
No,
old.
what does that say?
You're asking a guy where's
1920.
And I won't put them on when the camera's on.
Something like the 20s.
Wait a minute, let me see. It is 19. I don't see the year.
Right there.
Oh, 1911.
No.
Yes. Maybe not all these books.
Maybe so. Well,
I'm not sure all these books are written at the same time.
My dad had
1912.
Yeah, well, my dad had
probably one a year. Probably.
My dad had brothers.
2 a year.
My dad had brothers that were older than him, but
look like Stephen Colbert.
And both of my grandfathers were
Not
inventors, but this was from the Van Allen side.
Yes.
And my grandfather Van Allen was kind of an eccentric inventor.
Mm.
My grandfather D. Wally Anderson, the architect, had about 14 patents. He was pretty prolific. And he actually made enough money off one of his inventions to build his house.
Okay. What did he invent that we might know?
Well, they were obscure things now, but they were mostly for the building industry. Special bricks to help you make better
so
walls and
material,
copings to make it look better and make it more safer, and it would bring air conditioning into the house, natural air conditioning through the conduits. It would circulate air. A lot of things.
That's always been a problem.
He had a thing for cars.
The Greeks
that would deflect. It would deflect lights, beams of lights into your eyes to make it safer to drive.
Yeah.
He had a stove with a natural thermostat.
Yeah.
That would
cut off.
It would fit onto the front of a coal burning stove, made of metal. It was about that big, and it would wiggle and jiggle. It would move according to the heat coming through it, and it would cut itself off or open up. It would do it naturally. There was no electronics at all, and he was a very brilliant guy. He had a screenless window screen to keep flies out of the house.
Okay.
The window could be wide open. There was a pump in the basement, and there was these things coming up out of the around the windowsill would create a circulation of air that would keep the flies out.
There you go.
And many others.
Big problem then.
Yeah.
Bugs are always a problem.
He had a
locusts, all the plagues.
You remember Murphy is one of his more goofy ones, but it might have worked. It was Murphy beds.
Oh yeah.
You pull a bed down.
I've never seen them. I only see them on television.
Yeah.
But they were very popular. They're very good in a way that they made the place space so you only had to see the bed when you had.
It was for poor.
It
It was designed for poor people, for trying to make life life better for the working class. He came up with a Murphy bath.
Okay.
For sanitary, to make people's lives so that everybody could take a bath. And you open up the closet and you pull this thing down. It's like a porcelain thing with pipes and hinges, and you see a nice woman. He's got an illustration there of a woman taking a bath in it.
Oh, so it was like on its side.
I got his brochure.
It was like a closet. You'd open the closet, and
it was a bath.
The bath was on its side, and then you pull it down.
And it had pipes. And the pipes were also hinged.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was designed.
That's something that time has come.
See, he did design some apartment houses, and this was supposed to go in apartment houses.
Yeah.
Oh, he was always thinking. And like I say, he had about 14, 17 patents. And the one with the stove, the thermostat, actually sold enough that he built his house.
The thing you don't think is going to take off is the one that took off.
He found, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
That was pretty practical. Anyway, it was up at the, he retired, semi-retired to his father's old property. He got his own property and built a farmhouse, a nice farmhouse.
Yes.
And he would, in the 20s, at the end of his career, he'd be, what do you call it? When people go back and forth to work. Rotate. No,
No, I know that. Commute.
commute. He was an
Yes.
early commuter. He'd take the steam train on the weekends and bring candy to the kids. He had 13 kids.
Yeah. Oh, no
And,
wonder. There's no time for a nap when you have 13 kids. How do people do it?
Well, things were slower back then, and
Yeah.
and the money went further. I don't know.
Actually, from what I gather, it was worse then. There was no Social Security. There was no.
I don't know, but from
welfare.
I don't know, but from listening to my uncles and aunts, they had a pretty hell of a good time. They had a
Great.
great.
Like I
They
said,
worked hard, but they had a great sense of humor.
That's what
Great sense
and that's
of
what
like your dad.
Yeah, well, that's what I tell people is that this is what we have no choice in the time we live in. We have no choice in where we're from. We have no choice, and
Well,
contrary to what you said earlier, you have no choice who your parents are.
according to karma, you do have a choice.
Yes.
Um,
Nobody
Relative-
asked me. Must have
relative,
been a committee before I was born.
well,
Decided all
things that come to us and are out of the blue, we don't have a choice over that, but we do have relative choices, and maybe. And some people say we create it all. Some of the New Age people say we're creating it all. I don't know how that works,
Yeah.
but
We'll never figure it out.
yeah. But if I'm creating you and Mr. Jones over there, well, what is he creating? How did he create me in exactly the same place? But
Yeah.
it's a mystery. The universe, and that keeps life interesting to keep wondering about how it all works.
I think people have the wrong idea about reincarnation because everyone assumes they were reincarnated from Napoleon or Julius Caesar or something.
Well, you can
or
get
Marilyn
into,
Monroe or
you
something.
can get into trouble with that,
But the thing is that if you actually know Buddhism is the one that has no, it's Hinduism. That's
both of them.
have okay.
Both
They
of them have karma. Yeah.
Well, they have reincarnation, and you know what karma is? Karma.
But the Native Americans did, and there are parts, obscure parts of Christianity that do as well. And in fact, you can make a good case that Jesus taught it because it's in the actual Bible.
well, okay.
They took a lot of it out,
Well-
but there are pieces of it
yeah.
where
Obviously.
they asked him, "Are you Ezekiel?" No, or no, who's the other guy? Not Joshua, Elijah. His
prophet.
disciples said, "Are you Elijah? Who do people say that I am?" Elijah. They say you're Elijah. Elijah had been dead 500 years.
Yeah.
What are they talking about? And the Jerusalem was on the trade routes with the
Yeah.
East. All those teachings came back and forth with
Yeah.
the caravan. So
We-
there's a lot of stuff.
yeah. We're still every Passover. We wait for Elijah. Never comes.
Yeah. It was that
Anyway.
big killer angel. Or
Now let
something.
me tell you about the okay. Well, I'll say Buddhism or Hinduism. They have the reincarnation. I don't think reincarnation. They think of it as a great thing. I think what they want is they want
They want to stop doing it.
that you get to a place like the band Nirvana. Nirvana actually means you get to that point where I don't have to be reincarnated anymore.
Well, I don't agree.
I've ended it. I've now ended it perfectly.
I don't agree with that though, because I think a lot of people, they desire another life, and they desire another life until they finally get sick of it, maybe, and maybe that's when it's time to go on. And then you move up a level into, like you become an angel or some kind of a permanent spirit.
Yeah.
And there are many levels. It's like Jesus said, there in my house are many mansions. There are many levels of existence.
Yeah.
But this thing we call life is thick. As much as I hate to say it, I agree with Madonna. It's a material world. But Madonna had a song called "It's a Material World." All right, what she means, or I think what she means.
Materialistic.
Well, yeah, but it is a material world. It's matter very condensed. Matter exists everywhere. I once had a conversation with a NASA scientist, and I think I mentioned this, that he said that they had only, with all they can sense as sensors and everything, they have sensed about 95% of the universe, of the matter of the universe. They can't account for it. They don't know why it's there. It's only about 5%, less than 5%. No, only about the stars and all that stuff account for only about 5%.
Yeah.
But the rest of the other 95, they get readings on it, but they don't know why it's there.
Yeah.
And I said to him, I said, "Oh, you've discovered God." And he says, "Now you're talking like old Roberts."
Yeah.
But there is, and I think heaven or whatever it is must be subatomic particles or whatever.
Mhm.
And that's why ghosts can pass right through us and you get a chill. Do you ever get a chill?
No.
You ever get a feeling like a rabbit jumped over your grave?
I have dreams.
No, do you ever get that? Did your parents or grandparents ever say, "Did a rabbit jump over your grave?" Because you got a chill?
Hmm?
You never feel a chill go up?
Now I do.
There it is. Yeah, I do.
Now,
But that's the spirit, probably a spirit going through your body.
instead of
through
going
your
to heaven
molecule.
or hell, or certainly instead of going to hell, why don't people get reincarnated? Maybe this is.
No,
So for example,
I
say
believe
you don't
hell-
like.
I believe
Say you
hell
don't like.
exists. I
Say you
believe-
don't like people that are missing legs. Well, maybe you'll be reincarnated, to a person with no legs in the
Did
next
you ever
life.
see that movie, that Robin Williams movie, What Dreams May Come?
Oh yeah, that's
That-
like line in Hamlet.
That's pretty.
Yeah.
And Richard
No,
Matheson.
in,
Richard Matheson.
Richard Matheson.
That guy is deep.
No, it's a line in the Tempest. Yeah,
I'm talking about Richard Matheson's.
I know Richard Matheson. Yeah,
One of the greatest writers of our time.
Yeah.
So said Ray Bradbury. He
Yeah.
said that, and they were friends.
there were a lot of Twilight Zones.
But Richard Matheson just comes up with so much stuff. But he wrote that movie.
What
And
Dreams May Come is a great movie.
I think that movie comes closest to getting it right
yeah,
of anything I've seen. That is-
great special effects. And everything.
Yeah, but it really explains all
yeah.
the New Age philosophy, or comes close to it. I think it really does a good job.
You know what? I gotta tell you something about
It's
that
a little
movie.
bit. It's a little bit boring in places, but
Well, I'll tell you what's weird about that movie is that
I should.
when I saw it, I was very impressed with it, even
Yeah,
if I
it's impressive.
believed half of it. But let me tell you something. I thought that the time would come with this. It was a bomb in its day. I thought it'd be a big hit maybe on home video or something. Still, it's time. Maybe it's still ahead of its time. It hasn't.
Well,
people haven't caught up to it.
It
yet.
was. It was by some people in my crowd.
Well, I mean, people like us are smart people.
Well, I was involved with the New
You
Age.
are, anyway.
I was in the New Age movement really big time for about 10 years.
yeah.
And other people I knew liked it. I'll try to find it and post it if I can. But
What
it's
dreams
really-
may come? Yeah.
what dreams may come.
That's great.
And it's like what happens when you die. And it's a wild, crazy Technicolor world.
Werner Herzog has a small acting part in it.
Oh, he does?
Yeah.
Werner
Yeah.
Herzog. He was a great director, German director.
Best of all. Yeah.
Fitzcarraldo, I'm not sure about a guy pulling a boat over a mountain. It's a little strange, but he's very talented.
Did I ever tell you about Fitzcarraldo?
Usually, I'm not interested in hearing much about. It's such a tiring movie to watch. But go ahead, Fitzcarraldo.
Now you've made me upset. No, let me tell you something. I have seen thousands of movies. Fitzcarraldo is my favorite movie.
Ah!
So
Really?
anything, yeah,
Really?
it is.
Oh, come on! Better than King Kong?
Let me tell you about Fitzcarraldo. And now, if you go see it, that's fine. And maybe it'll be totally lost
better
on
than
you.
Some Like
But
It Hot?
I'll tell you something great in my personal dealings with this movie is that sometimes I think since I'm the only one who seems to like it and it's my favorite movie, this movie was just for me. It's not like everyone likes
So,
everyone likes
I
King
would never
Kong.
have thought you would dream about pulling a boat over
There
a
was
mountain.
something-
A ship over a mountain.
And believe it or not,
And they
because
spend the whole half of the movie doing just that.
because Werner Herzog made that film, I see every Werner Herzog film. They're not as good as in my book as Fitzcarraldo, but they're all good, and I love them. Yeah, and I love Gira the Wrath of God and Mystery of Casper Hauser.
I have to admire him for
Yeah.
doing the damn thing, getting it done. But it is so tiring. That's something
We can talk about this.
I would never want
The
to
show's almost over, and,
I don't wanna
and we're
pull-
we're getting started.
I don't want to pull a ship over a mountain.
Anyway, we got a few more minutes. What
I don't know.
What do you want to say?
I don't know.
This was a good show.
I wanted to play, but I can't.
Play us out. Like,
Play with a wheel.
what's your favorite movie? Since I told you my favorite.
Oh, I don't have a favorite.
Well,
I
a
have
couple.
many.
I have many
Well,
favorites. too.
North by Northwest and The Man Who Knew Too Much.
Oh, those are the second one.
The second
Yeah,
one.
they're
But
both great.
I love so many movies. I Know Where I'm Going by, what's his name?
Oh, by Michael Powell, yeah.
And just to come to mind.
Listen, I
Duck
love
Soup.
Duck Soup. I love all.
Keaton's
Everything that's good.
Keaton's the General, almost anything by Buster Keaton. Orson Welles' stuff.
Yeah. I gotta see that movie.
I like Citizen Kane, but I was impaired in my enjoyment of Citizen Kane because I took it in film class, and I had a teacher that told us, you got to look for the ceilings, you got to look for this, and you look for deep focus, look for that. So I was going to pass a test on Citizen. I was looking for all this stuff. I couldn't enjoy the movie.
I know.
But I've since come to like it. But I like his other stuff.
I can watch Citizen Kane over and over again.
Yeah, well, I like A Touch of Evil.
Thus, every time I see it,
I like A Touch of Evil. I like what was the guy with the big head?
Mr. Arcade.
Mr. Arcade. Very interesting, weird movie. I like Lady from Shanghai. I like great comedies, of course.
You mentioned Some Like It Hot.
Some Like It Hot. I love that.
Yeah,
I love Jack Lemmon. I met Jack Lemmon and got to know Jack Lemmon.
And let me tell you about Some Like It Hot.
That's a good gender bending. I like gender bending.
I didn't really care.
I don't want to get a sex change, but I'm fascinated with these guys that do or change themselves because
I know quite a few.
It's really, you're getting to something very profound in creation. The soul, like we get back to reincarnation.
You improve on God, meaning that he made a mistake and I'm going to change it.
No, well, some people really ought to be women. Some guys, he'd make a good woman. He doesn't make a very impressive man, but he'd make a good woman. And some of them go ahead. And
some women make good men.
But it's very expensive and messy. I don't know if
But let me tell you,
I wouldn't go through the operation.
Well, it's not for everybody. That's why it's hardly worth.
I'm built like a
arguing about.
I'm built like a Neanderthal. I got hair everywhere.
People like the people like on the internet and stuff.
But some of them I want to make love to, you know.
Well, I mean, the people that make a big deal about it, that it's against God, against this, against that. I said, you think they're going to change you? Then don't worry about it. It's not your problem.
You got plenty of lives. If you want, people ought to do it the natural way. Die and come back is the other thing.
That's the natural way. Yeah.
But I don't believe. I like LGBT rights, but I hate LGBTQ. Why do they got to stick the Q on that? Queer is a bad
pejorative.
It's a bad word.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, and they would say, "Hey, queer,"
it was an insult.
Yeah, it's really a bad thing.
Well, I know a little bit about this. I'm
tired of them adding letters everywhere.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember all these letters.
It's like an alphabet soup. Let me tell you. No, the
LGBT covers everything.
I think this is how it worked. They were being called queer so much that they actually took it upon themselves and put their own spin on it.
That's a new millennium thing to do, and I get tired of that.
Well, whatever makes.
You got to carry a giant dictionary around. I want to talk the old way. I like people that talk like people, like we're doing. Not all these politically correct, overly litigated voices that sound like lawyers.
Yeah. Well, there's nothing. I'm a little easier going on political correctness than other people. However, political correctness is where I'm a comedian and has no place in comedy. Has no place in comedy. Part of comedy is making fun of people.
That's what I love.
Especially people in
power. That's
what
what I love about black people. The majority, the black people are now got great jobs and lawyers and serving in public office and make a hell of a lot more money than I do. But a lot of black people still talk in the old down-home way, more or less. So they like to. Some of them are politically correct, but
I still have a southern accent.
I get a lot of the black guys in the locker room. They complain, nobody sounds black anymore. I said, no, keep it, keep it alive. Keep the Ebonics alive, just like keep Cockney alive, keep old hillbilly talk alive. That stuff is beautiful. Especially if you're a writer, if you're a dramatist, you want characters. Yeah. You want characters.
Everyone talked like they were like a college professor.
People that talk.
They all talk like John Houseman. Yeah. Or John MacGyver.
We make hamburgers the old-fashioned way. We burn them.
I remember once seeing.
Well, you need a spice. The variety is a spice.
I remember watching a skit once on the Rich Little show where he had all these impressionists, and Bing Crosby was a guest on there, and he showed Bing Crosby's family, and they were all imitating the mother sounded like Bing Crosby, the son sounded like the one guy did not sound like Bing Crosby. He was an English comedian, and he says, well, I wish I was born in Bob Hope's family. They're all teaching him how to sing.
I never saw that.
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Anyway, play us out, and we will come back a future
I
time.
can think. I'm not in tune tonight.
You're getting a sitting ovation from me.
Yes.
This is Van Allen's Attic.
Rabbit.
My name is Kaye Lazar, and this is the wonderful Keith Van Allen.
Yes.
See you again, everybody.
Mr. Showbiz Kravitz. I'm like.
All right, right on.
All right, let's get out of here.